Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the After the Frame podcast. Happy New Year. I am Malik, and I am joined once again, as always, by.
Hi, I'm Matt. Happy New Year.
And this episode, we're going to kind of be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be recapping everything from last year, 2025, as well as doing some predictions, looking ahead for the year to come, as well as implementing some things in the podcast, a little bit more games, a little bit more interaction from us two that we're going to be trying out this year. So feel free to let us know what you like, what you don't like. And yeah, we're going to be trying it out. So Matt, how have you been? How was your new year? How was everything going?
Things are good. Nothing super crazy. New Year's just been, chugging along.
Yeah. I mean, we're only 2 weeks in. So, yeah, I actually found when I was looking up all the different movies that are coming out throughout the years, I always look and see what's coming out this month, what's coming out. I was actually surprised at the lack of movies that I was like, I really want to see compared to last year. So yeah, I feel like I'm going to be watching a lot more movies that I maybe haven't heard of or a little bit more under my radar. So I'm excited to, see how that works out this year. What about you? You have any of that type of stuff, like looked ahead this year and seen something that you thought was pretty good or anything that you think isn't?
I have a handful of things that I am definitely going to see in 2026. As far as, I could count on my fingers, what I'm definitely excited for.
Mm-hmm.
But I know I'm going to see a lot more than that. And I think a lot of it, much like this year, honestly, is just going to catch me by surprise. It's going to be a spur of the moment decision. Something comes out and just absolutely blows people away, and I'll be like, oh, I'll go check that out.
Yeah, I honestly think that last year, and I'd love to know your thoughts on it. I think that as far as the movies I watched, was some of the best quality movies we've had in a few years. Because I feel like in 2024, 2023, and basically even before, leading up from COVID to now, I feel like last year was pretty strong with the movies I saw. How did you feel?
I can agree with that. Comparing 25 to 24, I definitely watched a significant amount more. I think there was a lot more comparable highs from last year to the previous. There was a lot that in 24, I was like, hey, I know for a fact I'm seeing this. I know it's going to be good. And there were a lot of things that I had no real anticipation to see, and I went and saw them anyway. This year, I was banking on a couple releases being really good. And I'm like, those are for sure probably going to be at the top of my list. And then there were quite a few others that just shocked me. And I'm like, I'm pleasantly surprised I saw this film. So
Okay. Well, I mean, before we bury the lead here, as I mentioned before, we're going to be implementing a little bit more interactivity. We're going to get into a lot of our thoughts. We have written out a few categories that we each, off camera without telling each other, we're going to answer stuff about last year and fill each other in on and see where we agree, where we disagree, and have an open discussion about it. So you want to just jump right into it? I think the first thing we had was talking about headlines in the news for just movies and entertainment in general.
yeah, I'm good with that. What I had just in recent events that really excited me, the Golden Globes and the Critics' Choice Awards just wrapped up, and not to spoil anything, but a large portion of the consensus there is kind of how I'm feeling with how the year in review went when it comes to film quality, performances, things like that. And the one thing that I saw that I couldn't stop laughing at, I think it was the Critics' Choice Awards. Stellan Skarsgård won Best Supporting Actor for a movie called Sentimental Value, and he was complaining about the food. He won, but somebody asked him about the food, and he wasn't even like, oh, it was okay, or oh, it was typical fare. He just called it what it was. He just this is shit. It was so funny to just read the unfiltered, just tell it as it is.
Yeah, when you're at that stage, not only in life because he's getting older, but just in, how famous he is. I guess he can just say whatever he wants. Plus, the Golden Globes has always been like that. I actually never watch the Golden Globes. I always just see the results the next day, just because that's kind of how the with all the Ricky Gervais, all of his stuff that he was doing for so long. Like, I feel like it's just gotten to that kind of show where it's not like as prestigious as the Oscars, so I don't usually watch it. But as you said, like, it's a good little radar to see where people are at with the awards, like leading into the Oscars. So yeah, I actually I feel like, and we'll get into it later, a lot of the not a lot, but there are certain things that I felt should have been highlighted more in the Golden Globes that weren't really, that we'll get into later, that I like didn't really agree with. But as I said, we don't want to bury the lead. Was that all you had for your like your topical
Yeah, I mean, as
thing,
far
like
as
headline?
recent events go, I mean, really, it's just we're at the point where recapping the end of last year and going towards the new year.
Okay. Mine is more of I wanted to bring up and just bring it up as a discussion for the both of us, cuz I haven't talked to you a ton. I know we're in a group chat that, talks about it here and there. My headline was two-parter. I wanted to bring up all of the quote unquote teasers Marvel has been dropping for Doomsday, even though the Russo brothers came out, I think either today or yesterday, saying they're not teasers, they're clues. Wanted to get your thoughts on those, whether you think that this whole teaser thing is working or if it's not working for you. And then also about Damson Idris being potentially the new Black Panther when they reboot after Secret Wars. So what are your thoughts on those?
Uh, Firstly, on the topic of teasers, they are working to a degree. I like the direction that they're going. Are they done with the teasers? Are there more coming? Or have they said anything?
From what I've heard, it's just gonna be a full trailer during the Super Bowl is the
Okay.
next thing. No
I was
more
gonna say,
little
because I'm at the
character
point
things.
where, like, I like where they're going, but I feel like if they keep doing more, like, I don't know what the expectation is gonna be for this movie.
I mean, they have enough characters in the movie that they could literally do one a week up until December.
No kidding. Uh, I like what they're doing. They're definitely building hype. I think the best one they did was the X-Men one,
Easily.
because everybody's kinda curious, how those characters are gonna incorporate, given that Marvel hasn't properly, like, given them an introduction, and I do think that's kind of a flaw, but, it is what it is. As far as Damson Idris as Black Panther, I think that would be a really good casting. I've been a fan of him since he was in Snowfall. Snowfall was an excellent TV show, and then he was in F1 this past year and did an excellent job with that. So I think he'd be a good casting to kind of fill in the shoes of T'Challa.
Okay.
I wouldn't be mad if they brought him in.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad either. I mean, I've said many times that I think that the MCU should have just been done. I mean, franchises can always just keep going and going, but at some point you should just like have the story, have a bookend, and have the fans just, imagine what happened after. But for me, if they're gonna reboot, I mean, yeah, they're gonna make a ton of money. It's always gonna have people coming to the theater, so I don't think that it'll ever end, unfortunately. But yeah, I think out of all the fan castings I've seen to replace Chadwick, or maybe not replace him, but I'm assuming maybe another Black Panther from another universe or whatever way they want to do it. I think that yeah, he's a great pick. But yeah, that was it from my headline for this episode. So you have anything else before we get into the activities?
No, I'm all good.
All right, cool. So the first thing that we are going to implement is a game I like to call Tenable. I actually learned about it through watching British programming. It's like a British game show, and then a lot of soccer podcasts that I listen to and YouTube channels that I watch implement this game, and it's a pretty fun game. It's basically you're going to get 10 different things within a certain category or topic, and then the other person just has to guess all 10 in no specific order. They have about 3 minutes to do so, and they have three strikes in order to, or three strikes and they're out basically. So it's pretty simple rules. So do you have a list as well? I know I have mine here.
I thought and couldn't come up with one. So if you have
Okay.
it, we can roll with that.
I was worried. I'll put like 3 minutes, or I'll just watch the clock so that way we don't waste too much time on it. Although I made mine like relatively easy. I think so, and I was actually worried that we might have the same list. But my 10 is the top 10 highest grossing movies of 2025 at the global box office. So whenever you're ready, you can just give me one, and I'll tell you whether it's tenable or not.
It's global. It's not
Global. Yeah, not just domestic. This is the global box office. And I have written down how much money and what place it's in. So that way, if you get one, you can kind of gauge to see where you're at.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Start the clock.
Go right.
I think number one, my first pick, Superman. Is that on there?
It is number 10 at $616 million at the global box
Superman
office.
and 10 is blasphemy. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people, or
Um,
not as much people, went out to see that one, unfortunately.
I know Avatar's got to be on there.
Avatar, yep, at number 3, $1.09 billion, and it's
Good
still going.
grief.
I took this number, obviously, it was a December movie,
Mm,
so I took this down like yesterday to have it the most accurate I could.
okay. So that's two. I feel like Minecraft is on there for some tomfoolery that everybody went to go see that movie.
Minecraft is number 5.
What in the world?
$58 million.
Good
Not quite a
grief.
billion, but I mean, it's a popular game. Whenever you can, get the kids out to see it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I never saw it myself, but yeah, it made quite a bit of money.
I'm gonna add Jurassic World to that list.
Jurassic World is number 6 at $869 million.
I feel like some Disney stuff's got to be on there. Is Zootopia on there?
Zootopia 2, $1.5 billion. Number 2. I'm assuming that Avatar might pass that. I think. We'll see.
It probably will.
Yeah. So you're missing number 1, number 7, 8, and 9.
I've guessed 5, so I'm missing
Correct.
another one. Okay.
Oh yeah, you're missing number 4 as well. Sorry, I didn't do very good
Okay.
with my check marks. You're right.
F.
F1, number 9, 631 million. You got about 2 minutes.
Thinking through, I feel like some of these are gonna stump me. I'm thinking large IPs.
That's a good way to go down.
Okay. How to Train Your Dragon.
Yes. Number
Okay.
8, 636 million.
What numbers am I missing on the list? I know I'm missing one.
Number 7, number 4, and number 1 right now. And you have
Seven,
no
four.
strikes, but you have about a minute, a little bit less than a minute now.
Okay. I'm gonna guess Lilo and Stitch. I feel like Disney's
Correct.
not done. Okay.
Number 4, 1.03 billion this last year. So you're missing number 7 now and number 1.
I feel like I might have an idea what numbers. I don't know what number one would be. Did Weapons make it on that list?
No, that's your first strike. I don't even have the box office for that. I only have the box office for the top 10, but nope, that
Dang.
is
Okay.
not there. Unfortunately, I think that movie should have gotten more money. Should have been in the top 10.
Fantastic Four.
Nope, that is your second strike. Also, don't have those. I remember it was under Superman. That much I remember. It was probably, I
Okay.
think it was in the 500 million range.
Last guess. I'm gonna go.
No, Sinners unfortunately did not make it into the top 10.
Dang.
It'll be in our top 10, I'm sure, of the year, but not in the highest grossing. So the ones you were missing at number 7 was Demon Slayer. They had
Okay.
that one come out. I think it's something Castle, that the anime movie that came out. That was 723 million. And then number 1 is a movie I never heard of, Ni Za 2.
I've never heard of that.
It's like an animated movie, and I looked into it, and a lot of, I guess, people who saw it said it was really good. I never saw it. Came out with $2.2 billion at the
Oh
global
my
box office.
goodness.
So yeah, that would have definitely stumped me because I never saw it, never heard of it. So, but yeah, that's basically Tenable. We'll try and incorporate this type of game into each of our episodes. Pretty quick, it's pretty fun. So yeah, we want to keep on moving on down the line of the categories that we came up with then.
Yeah, we can press on.
All right, cool. Next up, we got Recast It. So this is just us recasting a major 2025 movie, roll, and then defend it. What did you have for this one?
So for my pick, I actually don't know if you saw this one. The Smashing Machine, starring The Rock.
Nah, I never got around to it. Once I heard it wasn't as like great as The Rock was blowing it up to be, I was like, I'll just get around to it on streaming, and I still haven't.
Unfortunately, I gotta recast The Rock.
Okay, who were you thinking? You had anybody in mind?
So I put two names down. I put John Bernthal and Tom Hardy. Either one of those two.
Okay.
Downfall with that movie is I feel like it played into The Rock being The Rock, but it's not that kind of movie to do it. I think you need to trade like movie star sheen for like this dude is actually like falling apart type energy, because that's what the film is all about. Like it's the rise and fall of this boxer, and towards the end of the film, like The Rock is just like he's fading, and with it just being The Rock, like I couldn't take it seriously. So
Mm,
I think you need somebody a little more.
with gravitas, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I
that.
could see Tom Hardy in that role. He did it with the movie, what was it, Warrior, where he played
Mhm.
like a MMA fighter. But John Bernthal, I mean, you seen him as the Punisher, you see him in The Accountant. He's had a bunch of action movies, so yeah, The Rock is just he's always gotten shtick for not really being the greatest actor, and he was trying to push with this A24 thing, and I guess it just didn't really work out. And I mean,
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad by any means, but like I feel like a better performance from the lead could have
pushed
up
it.
to the movie as a whole.
Okay. Mine was literally I thought I, like, looked through all the movies I saw, and I didn't really think that any one is like, I had, like, while watching it, I was like, "Man, that acting was, like, really bad." Except for one, where I audibly said in the theater, I was like, "Wow, this was really no good." And it's gonna surprise you. I don't think you know who it is. It's from Five Nights at Freddy's 2. The child actor, Piper Rubio.
The
The kid, just terrible. I guess I didn't notice it in the first one as much because she's in the first one,
yeah.
but in this second one, I was like, "Wow." It was, like, noticeably, like, not great, and I literally put down you could literally replace her with any child actress from Welcome to Derry, the It show, because all of them were fantastic. I would have said Stranger Things, but they're all, like, 40 now, but any of the child actors from It, that show, take your pick. Any of them could have worked better, honestly, or just literally maybe any other child actor in Hollywood. But yeah, that girl, yeah, not was not doing it for me. So that was mine. I couldn't really think of anybody else that like stood out to me that I was like really needs to recast. You know.
That's not a bad one. It was funny. I originally didn't have the one I had. I had something else as a backup, and then I pivoted.
Mm-hmm.
I had for Captain America, I had as much of a Harrison Ford fan as I am. I don't think he was the right fit for Ross.
Oh, who would you have had then?
Mr. Bryan Cranston himself,
Interesting. Okay. How old is Bryan Cranston?
60 something?
He okay, because I know that they obviously wanted to just go with an older
69.
Ross. Nice. They obviously wanted to go with an older Ross for that movie. I'm assuming, or just maybe the bigger name, just because Harrison Ford's bigger. I have
Yeah.
no idea. It didn't bother me so much in that movie, I guess. But yeah, it's one of those roles that, like, if you told me he was, he something happened and they switched over for it to be Bryan Cranston, I would have been like, that's perfectly fine too. I see where you're coming from. All right, you want to move on to the next one?
Yeah, let's keep it rolling.
All right, next one we got here is fix one thing. So choose one 2025 movie or show and fix one element. Mine, I'm just going to go first because I've already discussed it on end on a separate podcast that we did a whole episode. It's just the entire ending of Begonia. Go and listen to that episode where I talk for quite a while about my displeasure with the ending. For me, I think that it kind of just undid all of the dichotomy between what Jesse Plemons' character and Emma Stone's character were going at it. Otherwise, great film. The ending really didn't land for me. I thought that the whole alien scene was very wacky. Sorry, spoilers if you haven't seen it. So that's mine. Easy fix. I don't want to go too much into it because I've already said it on another. What was yours?
So mine was covering the film The Electric State, starring Chris Pratt and
Mom,
Millie Bobby Brown.
I forgot that came out last
Oh
year. Huh?
my god, dude. Like
Just
all
fix
you
the
needed,
whole thing.
fix the whole thing. Like make it less quippy, make it a little more human. You could easily have cut like 15 to 20 minutes and just
Mhm.
make it more this like melancholy road movie vibe, just instead of just
Whatever it
let's
was.
pump out content. Yeah, the pacing was abysmal. So yeah, just fix the whole movie.
Wow. I also never saw that one. That was the Russo brothers, am I right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, people are slating them saying that they aren't good at anything other than the Avengers movies, but I must
Yeah,
point people to Community because Community is quite good.
Unity is quite good, yes.
So, but yeah, I heard nothing good about that movie from those who
Awful.
saw it. So
Awful.
that was straight to Netflix
Uh-huh.
thing, or it was just a Netflix movie, I
Yeah.
guess, and you already know how they feel about theater stuff. Okay, so now we'll move on to our next category, and we had blind rankings. I mean, if you have Instagram Reels or you have TikTok, you've seen these 1,000 times. We don't need to really go over it. I did a blind ranking of 5. Did you do 5 as well?
I also did 5.
Okay, you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
You can go first.
Okay. All right. My first thing for you to rank
Okay.
on from 1 through 5, I've got Gen V season 2.
So this list, is it All movies, shows,
I,
combination?
I won't say.
Okay.
It is just any movie slash show, like anything you could have consumed from
Any
last year.
property. Okay.
Any, yeah, exactly.
I will say number 3.
Okay, that's always a good way. You don't want to go too high. Okay, so let me put that there. All right, next is Daredevil Born Again. A lot of people also forgot that came out last year. Came and went. It was like an early, I mean, new season's coming out March, I think. So I think it was early March last year too. So,
I'm gonna say 4
okay.
because I thoroughly enjoyed that show,
Yeah, it was
but
good.
you could tell there was because they had 2 different, like, showrunners at one point, and you could tell which ones were, like, really good and which ones were just kinda eh.
Hmm.
So I will say 4 for that one.
Okay. My next one is Welcome to Derry.
That's number 2.
Okay.
Now I fear I may have shot myself in the foot because who knows what these next 2 are gonna be.
The next one is Peacemaker Season 2. So you have number 1 and number 5 available.
That's number 1.
Okay. Do you have a guess as what the fifth one might be with the trend I have going
I'm
on
trying to
here?
think of other shows that came out this year. Lay it on me.
Stranger Things Season 5 is is going to be your 5.
You know, I'm actually not mad at it.
So let me go over. Yeah, I mean, I think it's the. Let me go over this. Yeah, I'd say it's the worst of the 5. Yeah, I agree. So you got at number 1, Peacemaker Season 2. Number
Okay.
2, Welcome to Derry. Number 3, Gen V Season 2. Number 4, Daredevil Born Again. And number 5, Stranger Things Season 5. That's a
Yeah.
pretty good
I,
list,
I would
I
I wouldn't
think.
change anything.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. All right, what do you got for me?
All right. So I have your first option,
Mm-hmm.
Zootopia 2.
2. I'm gonna go bold.
And your next option, Now You See Me 3.
4. I'm waiting for you to like give me the weekend movie or something for 5, just in case.
I Know What You Did Last Summer.
5, I guess. I don't know if you're gonna go worse, but yeah. So what do I have? 2 and 3 now are the okay.
Yeah.
No, I have 1 and 3
You have
because
1
I
and
said
3,
Zootopia
yeah.
and 2. Okay,
Uh
I'll put it at 3 just so I can just get fucked over and see what 1 is.
Number 1 is, drumroll please, The Accountant 2.
I really like that movie. Yeah, it definitely wouldn't be my number 1 out of those. I should have put Zootopia 2 at 1, but it's not the worst list in the world. At least I didn't put what's it called at 1. What was the one that I put at 5?
Oh, I Know What You Did Last Summer.
I Know What You Did Last Summer. Yeah, I didn't like that one so much.
Neither did I. I
So
was
yeah,
trying to I was
so
trying
yeah.
to like throw you off guard and not really have a theme outside
Oh,
of
okay. It was
everything
just
coming out
movies.
this
It was
year.
just
Yeah.
random movies. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, read the list back to me then. What did I have?
So you had Zootopia 2 at
Mm-hmm.
2. You
Okay.
had, shoot, where'd my document go? You had I Know What You Did Last Summer at 5.
Okay.
What am I blanking on? Oh, Now You See Me, you had that at 4. And then The Accountant 2, you had at 1. And then what was the other one I said? Oh, The Amateur. You
Yeah,
had
the
The
amateur
Amateur
at
at
3.
3. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's not how I would rank them, but it's not the worst list in the world, I guess.
Yeah. Not
Yeah,
too
that
shabby.
not too bad. All right, ready for the next one.
Yeah.
So we got Trailer Lies, a 2025 movie where the trailer sold a different movie. You want to go ahead? Say what yours was?
Yeah, so mine I'll try not to go too in detail about because we did a full episode on it.
Okay.
Five Nights at Freddy's 2. The marketing really just promised like a cleaner, just event horror, like ride experience, whatever you want to call it. The movie is mostly just franchise homework and noise and that kid that you so thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah. Pity she wasn't at the Oscars or the Golden Globes.
Oh yeah, give it like 20 years and she'll be nominated
Screw that
for
kid
best
from
actress.
Adolescence. It's her. Yeah, I mean, I don't even remember seeing a trailer for Five Nights at Freddy's 2. I think I saw a teaser, but like I feel like when I saw the first one, I was like, I kind of know what to expect with the second one. And I know that you say that it's like lore homework, but that's kind of what I liked about it. Like I remember in the theater and I was like, people were cheering and laughing at certain things I didn't know, like inside jokes. I don't play the games I didn't know.
Mm.
And then it just made me want to, like, once I left the theater, I started watching YouTube videos and like researching up on it and like boning up on it. And then I've like now for the first 2 games, I'm kind of like understand where we're at. And I didn't want to spoil the third game because obviously it leads into, it's going to be a third movie. So that type of stuff I like, but I don't even remember the trailer, but I can understand where you're coming from. If trailers are always misleading, especially if you thought it was going to be a more clean cut, more horror film s type thing, and it kind of wasn't so much.
Yeah.
Mine was a film that we never got to discuss because I saw it way before we had a podcast. It was actually maybe about a year ago I saw this. It came out in January. Presence. I don't know if I'm assuming you saw that one
Hmm.
too. That movie is just not a horror movie. To me, it wasn't scary and any type of stretch of the imagination. I remember seeing trailers and it was like those quotes from like Rolling Stone or those people, scariest horror movie of the year, all that stuff. And it wasn't scary at all. The premise is basically you're from the POV of the ghost, which is supposed to be the scary thing. So if you are the thing that is usually scaring people within the movie, you're not scared. You're seeing all the people reacting, and yeah, it just didn't work for me. So that was mine where I was really let down by that one, and this will come back in a certain list of mine later on
Oh,
in the episode.
okay. See, for me, well, I'll give my thoughts when we go over that because I disagree.
You really liked it?
I really appreciate so the director, Steven Soderbergh,
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy his work. He did the Oceans movies. He did Black Bag, which also came out this last
Last
year.
year.
I really enjoy his work. I have a whole spiel I can save for later. But yeah, I enjoyed the movie.
Okay. All right. I think it was because I went in expecting like Conjuring,
Uh,
like that type of
okay.
horror thing, and it just really disappointed, which I guess you could say is more on me, but I don't care. Like I rated it what I rated it. So we'll move on to the next thing then. What do we got next? We got aged like milk and aged like wine. So early 2025 take that you were wrong and one that you were right about. You can go ahead and go first.
So for my aged like wine take, I I don't know how often I like publicly put it out there, but I was always just kind of betting big on the awardsy stuff, and it paid off because for me, like Marty Supreme, Sinners, one battle after another, we see are being nominated and winning all these awards for all these categories. They all landed into an elite tier movies for me, and just yeah, they became major awards players. So I hit on that and Aged Like Milk, touching on a movie I just talked about, The Electric State. I
Yeah.
honestly thought it was going to be like a fun crowd pleaser movie, or at least I hoped it would, because the Russo brothers like had kind of like an up and down directing history outside of the MCU. This one was the worst they've done like ever
Oof.
outside of that. Like it was just abysmal.
Oof.
So yeah, like that's kind of a bad take by me. I was expecting it to be because it was a cool theme. Like, you've got Chris Pratt. He's this charismatic lead, and unfortunately he doesn't have a ton to work with, but it's got like the steampunk, like toy theme. It's a really cool theme, but it just goes nowhere. So it's yeah.
Just no good, huh?
Yeah.
For me, aged like wine, this was like, as Deadpool would say, an educated wish. I said that Superman would be better than Fantastic Four, and I think that the general consensus for the general public is that that is true. It made more money. I think on Rotten Tomatoes, it might have like a higher audience score, or one of the two might be higher, but on Letterboxd, Superman is higher. More people just talked about Superman and really enjoyed it from what I can understand. So to me, I'm taking that as a win. I predicted that it would be better than Fantastic Four, and a lot of people said I was stupid because DC sucks, and it was the easiest, clear and away better movie of the three that came out in July.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree. I think Superman is for sure better.
I think we touched on it in our episode of that one, like one of the first ones we did, maybe our second episode, actually. For me, that Age Like Milk this is actually an Age Like Milk in a positive way for me. How much I'd enjoy F1. I know nothing about Formula One. I don't usually enjoy racing movies unless they're like comedy movies, like, Cars or, Talladega Nights or anything. So I don't usually get into those, but boy, was I wrong. And I'm happy that I was wrong about that. I remember when it got announced and like I saw the trailers and everything, I was like, it's one of those movies where I was like, I'm probably going to watch it and be a little bit bored. I couldn't have been any more wrong. I'll get into that when we talk about another list later on, but that was for me Age Like Milk, but I was happy it did.
I'm glad that yeah, that was a pleasant experience.
Yeah, exactly. And I watched it in IMAX, which like I felt like I was on like shrooms or something. Like I was like I felt like I was like in like X, even though like the chairs weren't moving. I was having a
Mhm.
blast, which made me enjoy it that much more. All right, next thing we got was one scene saves it. So a bad or mid movie with a standout scene, basically. What was yours?
Uh, so you're gonna laugh at mine.
Uh-oh. Is it Electric State again?
No, it's an actually decent movie, one that I did not expect myself to see. I'm gonna talk about Dogman.
Dog Man. That was
Exactly.
the Dav Pilkey like book, like Captain Underpants
Yeah.
written
Yeah,
author.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Was Pete Davidson in that one, or is that another one? Pete Davidson. I know that Pete Davidson was in some animated movie.
Pete
Yeah.
Davidson was in it. I don't remember who he played, but he
Okay,
was in
I'm
it.
remembering the right movie then. Okay, go on.
Um, so largely it is a kids movie. It's just goofy, it's fun.
Hmm.
As a whole, I mean, it's a movie for kids, but it's done very well, and the animation's pretty great. It did exactly what it was intended to do. But the scene for me, there's a scene where it's very Frankenstein-ish, like the man and the dog fuse, and it's surprisingly dark.
Hmm.
Like it just like for the animation and a kids movie, like they had their boundaries, but it was very like well done for like a scientific like experiment gone wrong. And I mean, the movies, it's a turn your brain off type, but the way they executed that, like there's a whole sequence behind it. It's very well done, despite the concept of a dog plus man equals dog man. So
It just like shocked you a little bit, like how
yeah,
grounded it kind of was. Yeah,
yeah,
I can understand that. Yeah, I also never caught that one. I mean, I really enjoyed the Captain Underpants books growing up. I watched the Captain Underpants movie that they did with like Kevin Hart and Ed Helms. But yeah, I never got around to seeing Dogman. Unfortunately, I had to I was so busy this past year that like even though I did watch a lot of movies, there were some movies that I had to forego, and that was on the chopping block. But maybe it'll maybe if it like it's on streaming or something and I'm, not doing something one day, I'll watch it. For me, I kind of cheated. It wasn't a scene in a movie, it was a post-credit scene. I have the post-credit scene for Fantastic Four First Steps where Doom shows up, spoiler alert. For me, I was in the camp that that movie was a good movie, but it didn't really move me in any particular way. It was very plot A, just straight from this to that, no really excitement or anything like that. And it doesn't help that we saw that all the Fantastic Four are obviously going to survive. We saw all the actors' names pop up on the chairs for Doomsday. There's really no stakes. We know that they're not going to die. And so I walked out. I remember when the credits started rolling, I was like, oh, yeah, it was good. Nothing to write home about. But then that post credit scene where Doom shows up got me really excited and really interested. So I'd say that that scene, even though it wasn't in the movie per se, it was post credits, it got me excited and had me, have something to talk about in the movie, I'd say, other than what was going on actually in the film.
fair enough. So our last little activity here of this section is the opposite. What was a big swing and missed? Just an ambitious idea that didn't work. What's your take on that?
Mine I already spoke about, so I won't go into it too much again. It is just the entire premise of the movie Presence. Just I feel like I gave it its points, and I usually do with movies that are trying to be a little bit more out there and not just be so humdrum and just straight down the middle and everything like that. But for me, when it comes to like something that they're advertising as a horror movie, it just took me out that I was literally seeing it through the eyes, as I said, of the ghost. There's a twist at the end that I also didn't really resonate with. That I mean, yeah, it was shot like something I didn't really necessarily see coming, but throughout the whole course of the movie, you're watching like the day-to-day stuff with this girl and like the stuff that she does with, her parents and her family affairs and everything like that, and you're just watching it like from like a ghost perspective, which, in on paper is like, wow, that's a really unique twist and like flip of the head of a horror film. But for me, as I said, just didn't work. So I thought that was a swing and a miss. But I can appreciate that people enjoyed it. But that's mine. What was yours?
Mine was the infamous Tron Ares. I'm
Okay.
a big fan of the Tron franchise. Like I grew up watching Tron Legacy, which over the like since its release, like has kind of become a cult classic in a way. Like it's not like the best movie ever, but what Disney was able to achieve back then was impressive. This one was a huge, like, aesthetic swing, but the story just felt like it was all shuffled around. I mean, the film itself was saved without question by an amazing Nine Inch Nails score, but it slots in perfectly with what unfortunately, like, as a whole, might be the most mediocre franchise of all time. It's
Mhm.
never been critically acclaimed. It's never broken the box office wide open or anything. And I know there's been some goalpost moving on its predecessor, Legacy, over the years, but despite the great score, like, I really hope there isn't a retroactive take about Ares being genius a few years from now. I mean, it's a visual and audio treat, but it's wrapped in a mediocre blanket that was the weak story and lame characters. Shout out Jared Leto. So I mean, it's probably gonna come back in a decade when Disney decides to dig it up out of the grave. Yeah, Ares, like, the expectations were matching kind of where Legacy was, and it just floundered. So
Yeah, just didn't work. They were trying to revive it, but just
yeah.
didn't really work. Yeah, I mean, those are our little activities that we have, and then now we'll get into more of the specific 2025 categories where we'll talk about our top 10s, our bottom 10s, and a few other fun things. So, first one we had was what was your unpopular opinion about entertainment in 2025?
So I wrote this as if I was thinking from the beginning of the year and based on what people would have assumed. But for me personally, the best movies from this year weren't any IP like franchises or projects or anything. They
Hmm.
were director led, just passion projects with actual personality. So
Okay.
I
Yeah,
feel
I
like you
can get
don't
that.
get that, every single year.
Yeah, it ties into what we said in the beginning that this past year was such a standout year for movies, like compared to like the 3, 5 years before. And I think that that has a hand in it because you find with these IP movies, they get lazy with the writing. They're just relying on nostalgia. They just expect that, oh, if you see Jurassic Park or you see, Lilo and Stitch or you see whatever, the people will come. And unfortunately, they're proven right as both those movies were in the top 10 of the box office.
Hmm.
But, what do we know? For me, I have like two. I changed mine just because I watched a movie recently that I felt needed to be put in there. My unpopular opinion was a little bit different than how you looked at it, not from like the beginning, but like just how I perceived something, or meanwhile everybody else was kind of singing its praises. So mine was two movies. The K-pop Demon Hunter Fanatics, like people acting like it's the best animated movie of all time. I kind of just didn't feel like that. We have our whole episode where we go into that. I won't take up too much time on it. Thought it was a good movie, but definitely not to the degree of how I see some people are like obsessed and, carrying on like that. Not knocking them for it, but I'm just saying that was just mine. And clearly it's the majority like it much more than I did. And then my second one is going to hurt you a little bit. It is One Battle After Another. When I watched that movie, it was only like over the weekend. The movie is very good, but I don't know. The movie, just for whatever reason, may it be like just the plot, perhaps. I don't know what exactly it was. And I'm trying to give myself so much time to think about it. But the more I've thought about it, I just really don't know. But the movie never clicked for me. It's in a lot of people's top threes. It is not in mine. And shockingly, it is not even in my top 10 of the year. So, as I said, like, I thought like Leo was fantastic in it. But other than that, I didn't really care for the other supporting actors as much. And then the plot to me, where it was like, you have like this cult, like the Santa Claus type Saint Nick cult, and they're, it just didn't work for me. But as I said, it was still a good movie, still well shot, great music, pretty good acting, but just not for me. So that's my unpopular opinions right there.
I'm hurt. That's
I
okay.
know, I
I'll
knew you
allow
would
it.
be. I know that I was one of your favorites for a while until a certain other one came in and bumped it down, I believe you had said, but I don't want to spoil anything. Let's see, what's the next one here? We got critically acclaimed movie you weren't into. What was yours?
Uh, for me, my selection went to Hamnet,
Okay.
the William Shakespeare story. It's, about Hamnet Shakespeare.
Right.
For me, it was critically acclaimed. It never really hit for me emotionally like it has for others. And I
Hmm.
mean, I may receive some hate for this, but a lot of the emotional beats just felt contrived and forced. And because of that, I just couldn't really connect with the story. I'm not sure if it's a lack of time with some of the characters or the pacing of the storytelling, but it just felt off. And I mean, don't get me wrong, like there are a couple fantastic performances from Jesse Buckley, Paul Mescal. I think Chloe Zhao really know how to write dialogue, and the chemistry between the leads is what kept the movie ticking for me. But overall, like it just fell short of landing in the upper echelon of movies from this year. And I mean, it's gotten plenty of nominations and it's gotten its flowers. It's just not up there with others for me.
Okay. Yeah, I also never got a chance to see it. I still really do want to because it seemed interesting. But I understand it. It's literally how I feel about one battle after another, it sounds like. I'm gonna skip mine because I literally just went over two that are basically within that category anyway. You wanna cover the next one?
But yeah, so the other category is kind of the opposite. It's a movie critics didn't really like that you did. For me, I was kind of surprised by this one, looking at scores, via Letterboxd and Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb. The Running Man. The Running Man was
Okay.
kind of lower on the totem pole compared to, and I don't know, like I kind of loved it. Like we've talked about, we have a whole episode on it, but it's got the muddied third act and there's, story threads, but it held my entertainment. I mean, it's an Edgar Wright film. You get that energy. Glenn Powell's just an absolute magnet in the role, and I was surprised it was lower scored compared to like how I rated it. So
Okay. For me, I had two that were way lower rated than Running Man, but I actually like maybe it was because they were so low rated, and then I went and saw them. I was like, oh, it wasn't as bad as everybody was making it out to be. My first one is Captain America: Brave New World. I remember I didn't see it on opening week. I believe you and I saw it together. I'm
mhm.
pretty sure. And yeah, I didn't see it on opening weekend, and immediately when it came out, people were carrying on. I mean, it is the weakest of the four Captain America movies easily, but the way that people were acting and everything like that, it was the worst thing ever. I just never felt like that watching the movie. It still had the heart that, you would expect from a Captain America movie, at least the Sam Wilson Captain America. It had pretty good action. The only low part for me was like the CGI was like pretty tough, and you could definitely tell some of the times when they were doing the reshoots. But I enjoyed it more than it seemed everybody else did. So that was my first one. And second one was Megan 2.0. This movie is not meant to be taken seriously. And so a lot of people, obviously, people on Rotten Tomatoes and everything like that had it very low. For me, when I watched it, I laughed a lot more than I did in a lot of other movies this year. The camp, the outrageousness of it, it was just pretty entertaining. Didn't overstay its welcome. It wasn't too long. So yeah, I thought it was just like a fun little movie to watch, and it seemed that everybody was kind of like shitting on it and everything. So, yeah, those are like kind of tied for my two. I just wanted to shout those out.
Fair, very fair.
All right, what we got for the next one then?
Shock of the year.
Shock of the year, yeah. Go ahead. What was your shock of the year?
So mine was Sinners. I was not fully expecting, like, I was expecting a good movie. I was expecting a great movie. I was not expecting it to be Ryan Coogler's best movie, in my humble opinion. Like, I think we're going to look at it in 5, 10 years and just still be amazed. So, like, I knew it was going to be good. I was not expecting it to be that good. Creed is a great movie. Black Panther is a great movie. Fruitvale Station is like first like big one, also with Michael B. Jordan. Also, good. I just wasn't expecting this one to be the cherry on top with it all.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I also didn't expect it. I thought it was going to be a good movie, but yeah, I don't want to spoil where it is in my top 10, but yeah, I thoroughly loved it. So, I can understand that one. Mine is I think a little bit of recency bias because I saw Marty Supreme like maybe a week ago. My shock of the year is literally Kevin O'Leary in Marty Supreme. That this guy from
That's a
Shark
good
Tank
shout.
of all places
Yeah,
has no business being in this movie being this good. Obviously, I don't think that he's getting any plaudits for being best supporting actor or anything. But I was just the whole time, every time he was on screen, I was really shocked because, from my knowledge, he's literally just like a businessman on Shark Tank. His thing is just he's like rich, and then he gives people money on Shark Tank.
yeah,
He's had no prior acting or anything like that. Maybe has had like a cameo on something, or maybe had like I've seen him in like commercials. But this is a full-fledged like actual movie. Timothy Chalamet, in my humble opinion, this is his best acting role that he's ever done.
I
And
agree.
I was like, what the hell? Every time he was on screen, I was like, what the hell is this? Like this guy from Shark Tank doing here? And he's doing like fucking knocking it out of the park.
Yeah,
So I was very shocked, not just about the whole movie, but specifically him in the movie because that's just so random that they got this guy and he did excellent job. So that was my shock of the year.
that's a good shout. What about disappointment of the year?
My disappointment of the year was The Conjuring Last Rites. Many people might know who are watching this. I'm a very big horror fan, which is why I love 2025 so much. There were so many great horror films. I am a huge fan of the Conjuring franchise. I've seen all of the movies, and I was very excited for what was basically them allegedly ending that franchise, but now obviously it seems that they're going to go back and have spin-offs more. This movie to me felt so rushed. It didn't feel earned to be that last movie. The demon that they fought didn't seem like, nothing in the movie seemed like that cataclysmic that it was like, wow, it's like the Warrens, you know, biggest threat ever. I never really felt that in the movie. And then when everything was said and done, they kind of just had this wedding scene where they showed people from the previous movies, the previous Conjuring movies, the families, which was a sweet touch, but all of it just never felt earned. And I was very disappointed at just the lack of, stakes I felt like the movie should have had for it being the so-called finale. So that was my disappointment of the year. What about for you?
Yeah, I thought that one was just like mid. It was just
Hmm.
underwhelming.
But it shouldn't have been.
I agree. Mine I'll make quick and easy. I already kind of
Hmm.
touched on it. The Electric State, yet again.
There it is, the
I
electric
mean,
state.
like it with for the amount of money that was put into it, it should not have been that disastrous, and yet it was. I mean, I'd still put it ahead of Hurry Up Tomorrow, like the disastrous weekend movie, but
Hmm.
it still should not have been as bad as it was.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's a disappointment. I remember seeing just some clips of it or whatever. I mean, like, I really like Millie Bobby Brown. I really like Chris Pratt. So you would think that it would work, but sometimes things just don't work. Like sometimes actors don't gel. And then the Russo brothers obviously brought us, what is it? Two Avengers movies so far. They're bringing us Doomsday. They did Civil War. They did Winter Soldier. All great movies that everybody loves. But sometimes these things, when you put them together, they just don't mix well. So let me see. So after disappointment of the year, we had most overrated performance. I actually didn't have one for this one, so I'll just defer to you. I looked through all the movies that I watched this last year, and I didn't have anybody that like called out to me. I was like, wow, that was everybody saying that this guy's acting is great, and he didn't really act that great. So what do you got?
The funny thing is, for me, I'm kind of touching on a similar note that I opened with.
Hmm.
Dwayne Johnson.
Okay.
A lot of people were giving him his flowers. Where my argument comes into play is before, because this came out before One Battle After Another, before Marty Supreme, all of that.
Yeah.
The Rock was getting shouted for Best Actor, and the film as a whole just simply didn't work for me. I mean,
Right.
the story, plot, character, you name it. I honestly left the theater just wondering exactly what I had just watched. And it's shot well, it's edited with care, and the acting is superb. And The Rock is really good, but I'm just not sure it's Oscar worthy as many were clamoring. But the film as a whole is just disjointed and at times boring and repetitive, and nothing really felt fleshed out or developed enough to amount to much of anything. And funny enough, like there was a really interesting story in the movie. It was just not about the main character. And yeah, to see The Rock getting clamored for best actor was not it for me.
Not
I
right.
Yeah, like, he didn't do bad. He did really well, but not compared to where people are putting him on this pedestal.
Or where maybe he wanted to be
Right.
after taking the film. Yeah, I didn't. I just couldn't think of anybody like that. But I understand where you're coming from. Next, we got our director of the year. Mine is similar to the actor of the year, where I am literally fine with like three people getting it. I chose mine because I just don't think he will be winning any, like, win an Oscar for it or anything. I went with Ryan Coogler for Sinners. I feel as though from what I'm seeing in the Golden Globes and with what was it, the Critics' Choice Awards,
Mhm.
I feel like in the Oscars, Sinners is not going to get the flowers that I think it deserves, even though it is still getting some flowers. I think it really was top notch this year. And Ryan Coogler, because there's certain things within this movie, like say Michael B. Jordan and him, I don't think that they're going to get many movies. yeah, I don't want to, predict, but I'm saying that like these movies that they've done so far in the past haven't gotten them to this point yet until now. And so I'm just predicting that maybe the next few movies they do maybe don't get them back to the Oscars shouts like they are now. So I'd rather somebody who's not there often get it rather than somebody who you see at the Oscars year after year. So yeah, I went with Ryan Coogler. I'll talk more about Sinners later on in the video, but yeah, that's for me.
Had Ryan Coogler listed, and then I changed it last minute. I actually went with Josh Safdie, who directed Marty Supreme.
That is the other one that I'm okay with people saying.
For me, I thought it was really impressive for. So both Josh Safdie and Benny Safdie released movies this year. One I really enjoyed, one I thought was okay. And they used to direct in collaboration. Like they did Uncut Gems, they did Good Time with Robert Pattinson. Like those are some really good movies. And then for them, it was announced, I want to say in 24, that they would no longer co-direct and they're just kind of doing their own thing. And I mean, I think they work better together, but looking at where Marty Supreme was versus the Smashing Machine, I think Josh is probably the better of the two, just on, those two releases alone. But I think what he did with Marty Supreme was really something special. And you really only have like a handful of bona fide actors. As you mentioned, like Kevin O'Leary is great. Tyler the Creator's in a role. And
Yeah, he was another shock.
pretty much everybody else is just like these super small, like they have roles, but you don't know who these people are. For them to make that movie so flawlessly with all of those, unknown performances, mad
Yeah,
props.
to give it up to the director for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I 100%. As I said, like it's kind of like a tie for me on those two. As I said, I just went with Ryan Coogler just because I think that he'll have less of a chance in the future of getting one. I feel like this might be one of his only shots. So we'll see. Hopefully he'll pump out more movies like Sinners, and Michael B. Jordan will be in more movies like Sinners, and we'll see them more often. Franchise fatigue moment of the year. I'll keep mine simple. Jurassic World, Rebirth, Seven, whatever it is. Sick of all of them. I wish that they would just stop, but the money is just going to keep rolling in. I don't want to talk too long about it. We already have an episode. Yeah, I'm sick of those movies. I wish they would stop doing them. What about you?
That's a good one. I wish I had kind of thought of that. Because that probably would have been my pick. I was thinking more fatigue of just tired of the film and kind of what went on.
Mhm.
I actually picked Captain America: Brave New World because when you look back at Marvel's 2025, it's kind of like it's the redheaded stepchild in Marvel's three releases because you've got Thunderbolts, you've got Fantastic Four, where I'd probably put them on like a similar playing field. But yeah, the Brave New World, like many, not me, but many people were hyping it to be the next Winter Soldier.
Kevin Feige.
Boo, yeah, like tomatoes. Like don't speak those words. That movie just like it was okay. It wasn't as bad as people were saying, but it just kind of tired me out. I'm just like, really? Like this is what we're doing now?
Yeah, it's no Winter Soldier.
No, it
Definitely
is.
not.
It is definitely not.
That's a good shout as well. For the next one, I actually didn't have anything. Should have been a series. I didn't feel like anything particularly, so I'll defer to you again.
Do you want to guess what mine is?
Is it Electric State?
It is.
We have not matched on anything yet, but Electric State. If I had something down as Electric State, I'd have a good chance.
I
All
think
right.
I think it'd be a good like 8-10 episode show. 'Cause, I
Like
mean,
just one
it's
season.
yeah, one season. Like it's steampunk, it's post-apocalyptic. It's a nice blend. I don't know if anybody's watching Fallout on Prime, but it's not as like post-apocalyptic like nuclear warfare, but you could do something similar with the creativity of that world. And just, 8 40-minute episodes, even like I think even if you did like 6 30 minutes, like you'd get a lot more done, having those just a TV, spin on it would because yeah, the movie was just a steaming pile of garbage. But so the good thing is I think that is the last time I'm gonna mention it. So
Not even in your 10 worst of 2025.
no.
Didn't even have the fucking displeasure of that, huh?
I've seen a lot worse movies than that.
I can't wait to
So
hear.
oh
Because
you're
I think mine are going to be kind of shocking because they're actually not all that bad, but I didn't see a ton of terrible movies last year.
oh
So
gosh.
they're just bottom 10 by the.
You're in for a treat for my list. But let's not stray away. Next up on the list, best theater experience.
I will go quickly. F1 and IMAX. I already kind of touched on it in this episode. I had a absolute blast in IMAX watching that movie. I felt like I was Brad Pitt driving the cars. Excellent, excellent, excellent. That was mine. What about you?
I have two. I have one that kind of caters to each audience, blockbuster and non-blockbuster. I'll go non-blockbuster first.
Okay.
I'm gonna say 28 years later. The ambiance and the setting of that movie, and just the progression it takes throughout the film. I was on like, I was in a reclining seat. I was on the edge of my seat. Like it was intense, but you didn't know what was coming next. Like, you'd be in a quiet scene and things would ramp up to 11, or they'd go right back down. It's like it ebbed and flowed, but in like the best way possible.
Hmm.
Talking more blockbuster, I think I have to go Superman. Superman was just a fantastic time all around, and seeing a superhero film done with that level of precision but also passion, it was just refreshing. It was so energetic, and it was a 2-hour movie. It did not feel like 2 hours, but in the best way
That's
possible,
true.
and it breezes by, and yeah, it felt very comic booky, which is great.
Yeah, I can agree with that. We watched it together in IMAX as well.
Mhm.
Why that one didn't do it for me is because I felt like more so our audience was kind of more on the low key side. Like people weren't really like hooting and hollering and cheering and like clapping and stuff. Whereas with F1, it was just like an individual experience just for me. That I feel like everybody else in the theater probably was not having as much fun as I was, but whatever. But yeah, Superman is fantastic, and I will be discussing it later on in the episode as well. And then what do we got
Yeah,
next?
last little category here, most forgettable. Not the worst movie, but just something that vanished from your memory.
What do you got?
So I have one that you have not seen. It's called Neighborhood Watch. It is basically a mentally ill young man who thinks he witnesses an abduction, and the police just refuse to believe him. He turns to his neighbor, who's this bitter old retired security guard, to just help him find the missing woman that he believes got abducted. It has Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Jack Quaid in it. Like the two leads, the two like kind of co-leads are really good, but the film as a whole, like there unfortunately wasn't much for them to work with in this one, and it was a shame because they played off each other really well. But just I think a better vehicle for them to sit in would have made a great movie. But yeah, everything around them was just like mid or below mid. But like those two were great. But yeah, the rest of the film is just kind of like,
Okay. Yeah, I obviously never saw that one, but yeah, it's something that like you watched and you're like, it wasn't too bad, but I forgot it was even last year. That's how mine are. I have a few. I just wanted to shout out a few because I actually had a lot more than this. Because when I was doing my rankings and everything, I went through everything and I was like, oh yeah, that came out this year. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So I have four that I wanted to talk about because I enjoyed them, but like nobody is talking about them now, and I feel like they kind of had their moment at like maybe a week, and then that was it. My first one is Mickey 17. Companion from earlier this year or last year, Novocaine, and Wolfman. All four movies that I rather enjoyed, and I feel like obviously they're not blockbuster movies or you know and nothing like Oscar baity or anything like that.
mhm.
But yeah, when I was going through them, I was like, wow, I forgot like all about those movies until like I literally saw like the rankings I had for them. So I just wanted to shout those out. I enjoyed them, but yeah, they just didn't fall within my top 10. They weren't in my worst. You know what I mean? Well, that's not true. Actually, one of them is in my top 10, which makes it even worse that I forgot about it.
Oof.
All right, cool. So shall we get on to the semi-main event?
Oh yeah.
Let us do the 10 worst movies that we saw from last year. How we usually do the rankings, if you've seen our DCEU or MCU rankings, one of us will say their 10, another person will say their 10, and we'll just keep on going 9, 8, 7, so on. The added caveat, once we give something a ranking, we're going to give it also a point system and release this on like Instagram to see our definitive for our combined um, 10 worst. Maybe we won't have a lot of overlap, so that means there'll be a lot of tied in points. We'll discuss that later. But yeah, so if you're in 10th place, you get 1 point, ninth place 2 points, so on and so forth, and we'll carry on. So yeah, with no much further ado, would you like to kick us off with number 10 for you?
I can tell you right now, I don't think we're gonna have any overlap.
I figured as not. So maybe this will be more of a point system for the top 10. So let's see. What do you got for 10?
So number 10, I have a film called Werewolf Game.
Okay.
For this film, every year there's, and this being number 10 is a good way for me to kick it off. There's a group of 10 movies that I kind of look back on, and people will ask me about and just ask, why the fuck did you watch this? This movie will elicit that question many times, either looking back at last year or even in general. It's essentially, I don't know, I don't want to comp it to like Squid Game or anything like that, but it's 12, maybe that's not the right comp, but 12 kidnapped strangers essentially have to play a game where they vote on who amongst them to murder, and it's werewolf basically. At night,
Okay.
the werewolves hidden among them come out to brutally kill one of the 12 villagers in return, and then the days just repeat until one winning group remains. It's got Tony Todd in it. Like, this was before he passed away, and it's just like, Tony, my man, like, why were you in this movie? Like, it's so bad, so dreadful.
Mhm. Okay. And there's worse to come, or did you do it the other way?
That is number 10. So there
So
is
yeah,
there is
there's
worse to
worse.
come.
Okay, good. Just making sure. 10 for me. I'm not gonna go too long on mine, like because like as I said, mine aren't like terrible movies. Just happen to be in my bottom 10 for
Huh.
what I saw.
Mine are.
Number 10 for me, I know. Number 10 for me was Hard Eyes. That was like the slasher romance movie that came out earlier last year. Yeah, the movie was very mid to me. My first three to four are kind of more in the mid to lower, like, below average. And then it gets to the ones that are like kind of like not really very great. But yeah, that one to me just didn't really do anything for me. I think I watched it on Valentine's Day, and it's like a fun little date movie to go on, but it's just not good. So yeah, I won't spend too much time on it, but that's my 10. What do you got for 9?
My number 9, I have a film called Renner. It was awful.
Okay.
But if let's say you're a 90s kid and you have nostalgia for Frankie Muniz from Malcolm in the Middle, that's probably the only reason you could give it a watch, because you will have plenty of laughs because it's Malcolm in the Middle. The main premise of that one is a computer genius played by Frankie Muniz invents an AI life coach to just help him find love, but he realizes too late that he accidentally programmed his manipulative mother into the code, and so it's just disastrous.
Okay. Frankie Muniz. I mean, I haven't even the last movie I saw him in was Agent Cody Banks when I was a kid, if
Like,
that gives you any indication.
yeah, I watched a
Um,
lot of slop, and that will continue to.
well, I don't. I think this will wipe the smile off your face. At number 9, I have One Battle After Another. I'm joking. One Battle After Another is not in my bottom 10. Come on, come on. Number 9, I have Fackham Hall. This movie, it was the British kind of version of Airplane or Naked Gun, like how I describe it, where it's that kind of humor where everybody's straight faced but saying the most ridiculous stuff. It just, as I said, like the humor didn't really work as well as I thought it would, because I usually like the kind of dry British humor. But for whatever reason, this movie didn't really work for me that much. As I said, not a bad movie. I gave it like a 5.5 out of 10, which is not anything terrible by any stretch of the imagination, but just happened to be in my bottom 10 of the rankings. What do you got at 8?
So since you notated that that's at a 5.5, all of these films for me are at a zero point 0.5 or lower, like 0.5.
Out of 10?
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
I kind of went
I
out of my
can't wait
way
to
to
hear
watch some bad ones. Oh gosh.
I can't hear to hear number 1,
So
but let's
number
hear what's
number
8.
8 is a good old Christmas movie called Melt My Heart This Christmas.
I think I've watched a YouTube video reviewing it. If I recall,
It,
it's like has something to do with like Frosty or something, right? Or maybe I'm thinking of
I mean,
something else.
Frosty might be in it. I don't remember. I tried
Okay,
getting
carry
rid of
on.
that out of my mind. It's like nothing for this film. There's nothing like using AI in a movie about people making real physical art, and the contrast was beautiful. Sarcasm font. It's like the main female lead is this glass blower, and she has big dreams of showcasing her art at like the local town fair or whatever, but she keeps getting rejected. So she jumps at the opportunity to help this legendary glassblower while also helping this man who oversees the entries into the fair. And things get complicated because this girl starts secretly displaying her art using a pseudonym, and it becomes a hit. But she's also getting closer to this man who like gate kept all the entries. It's just like it's a Hallmark Christmas movie. It's just terrible, dreadful.
Hallmark, yeah, I stay away from
It's
those, so I can
dreadful.
understand that. Number 8 for me, simple, Presents. I had that at like a 5 out of 10. As I've said many times in this episode, it just didn't work for me. The premise, the lying in the advertisement just didn't work for me. As I said, I don't want to go into it too much, but yeah, 8 Presents for me. What do you got at 7?
I have a film called High Rollers, starring John Travolta.
Okay.
My jaw hit the damn floor when I realized that this was a direct sequel to there was a film that came out in 24 called Cash Out. Not a banger, do not watch, but it's this one somehow, some way is a massive step down from that disaster. And this movie, if you watch the first one, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. It's obsessed with using these weird like drone shots and camera angles, and I'm 99% sure Steven Soderbergh, the director, could sue the filmmakers for just ripping off Ocean's 11 and Andy Garcia's just Terry Benedict character. Dreadful. Point 0.3 out of 10.
Getting into the points. Number 7 for me is I Know What You Did Last Summer, the reboot, remake, whatever you want to call it. Again, we have an episode up if you want to hear our thoughts on it. I will not be going too much into it. It just, as I said, like just was not the best movie in the world. Very campy, very over the top. Didn't really do anything for me. What do you got at number 6?
Number 6, I have Kinda Pregnant, starring Amy Schumer.
That was your first mistake.
It wasn't my idea to watch it. I was at home with visiting family and they put it on. And I'm like, why in the
Oh.
world? This one is just honestly offensively terrible. Like there are moments that it wants to be this 90s like style slapstick physical comedy goof fest. And then there are others where it wants to be this overly sappy, just feel good dramedy. The tonal whiplash in this film just takes a back seat only to the pain that you will feel from cringing out of your skin at the jokes. Like it took every aching soul in my body to not like get up and leave when they were watching this movie, and yet somehow I've seen worse.
Yeah, we'll see. Number 6 for me is I think it was straight to Netflix or streaming movie. You Are Cordially Invited. Might have been on Amazon with Will Ferrell and Reese Witherspoon. Again, another like 4.5 out of 10 for me. All of these movies, as I said, like not the worst thing in the world. Comedy didn't really work for me that much. And as I said, like the movie really didn't have anything to say. So 6. What do you got for 5?
I have Traumatica. Basic
Okay.
concept is you've got this kid and he has these night terrors that ultimately become reality because his mother begins showing signs of this demonic possession. And really what he experiences in the film is probably going to haunt him for the rest of this poor kid's life. And this movie isn't even in a wheelhouse in the same zip code of my wheelhouse. Like it's disturbing in a terrible way and a terrible film. And it's just the perfect combination for a movie that I would give a near zero. Horrendous. Horrendous.
What did you give that one?
A 0.2 out of 10.
Point 2, Jesus Christ. For me, a number 5, I have Until Dawn. I guess they attempted to do the video game, even though it really didn't have a ton to do with the video game itself. Yeah, again, solid jump scares here and there, but very rudimentary stuff. Characters you're not really rooting for or remember. Yeah, not really doing it for me as well. Gave this one also 4.5 out of 10. What do you got at 4?
I have another Hallmark movie,
Oh,
but it's a Halloween one. It's called Haul Out the Halloween. It's a fascinatingly strange Hallmark movie, and it comes from a franchise, yes, a franchise, that actually started off somewhat entertaining for Hallmark, but it has dove off a cliff with its sequels. I don't know why. I've seen them all. They were a thing with my mom. I don't know. But everything in this one, especially with the change of holiday, just feels forced, and it never feels like they had any creative ideas after, hey, what if we did Halloween this time? Because it was always Christmas centric. and then they just said, "Nope, we're switching to Halloween," and it's abysmal.
Hmm? What'd you give that one?
Also a point 2 out of 10.
Okay. Number 4 for me was the Lilo and Stitch remake. I know that a lot of people, it's not supposed to be this bad, like not supposed to be so low. I think it's because I love the original so much and I felt like it didn't really do it justice. And I'm very, very critical on live action remakes of things. So yeah, this movie didn't need to be made. I know that they always argue it's for the next generation, whatever. Same thing with the Moana movie coming out this year. I'm not inspired by it, and I don't like when Disney does stuff like this, especially when they bring out a movie like this, make a change to the plot that to me made it worse. So another 4.5 out of 10 for me on that number 4. What do you got for 3? We're getting into the bottom 3.
Popeye the Slayer Man.
Okay.
Popeye plus slasher horror. I'm fed up with the shit that these small independent studios are trying to do, taking like old timey like cartoons and turning them into slasher horror movies. Like it happened a couple years ago with Winnie the Pooh, and it happened again with Popeye the Sailor Man.
They've done it with a few. I've seen the Grinch one. They've done it with Mickey Mouse, I
Like
think. Yeah, they just keep
enough of
doing
this
it.
shit. Like why?
It has to be just for fun. You
I
know what I
gave that
mean?
one a point 1 out of 10.
Oof. Okay. Number 3 for me might be a little shocking. Keeper. We did an episode on this one as well. Yeah, again, this movie, the ending just kind of got a little bit away from me. The scary or the tense parts were not nearly as good as they should have been, in my opinion. And then the plot was just a little bit too kooky for my liking. The only bright spot was Tatiana Maslany. Her performance was good. Everybody else kind of like didn't really impress me. And again, like pretty unforgettable. Yeah, I didn't enjoy watching that movie at all. Gave that one just a straight 4 out of 10. All right, what do you got for 2?
So this one is probably the only one you've actually heard of. War of the Worlds, starring Ice Cube.
I have. I haven't seen it, or it would probably be in mine, but
Do
it
not
is
watch
not.
it.
Yeah.
It is jaw-dropping in the worst way possible. It's probably one of the 5 worst movies I have ever seen in my entire life, and that
Wow.
says something given that this is number 2. Because this also features one of the grossest examples of product placement ever put into movies, television, anything. It's
What is it, the Amazon thing?
Amazon, Microsoft Teams, all sorts of things. It's just every 2 seconds they're shoving an ad in
You
your
gotta
face.
pay the bill somehow.
It's baffling. I mean, holy hell, like that. If you want like a bad watch, like
To
I'd
laugh at.
watch it, yeah. But oh my god, it was terrible.
I hate watching bad movies. I don't even find them funny. I just find it a waste of time. There's like other things I'd rather do, you know? I mean, if it's like a group of people and somebody has it on and we're having fun, I
See,
guess.
when you're
But
like me and got nothing else going on, it's like let's put on a bad movie just to put on a bad movie.
yeah, see how low you can get it. Point 0.1, point oh
Uh,
0.05,
so
point, you know.
that one I gave a 0.
Just 0. Didn't even show up for work. For me, number 2, another episode we already did, Honey Don't. I found this movie very tedious to watch, very boring, did nothing for me, especially with the actors that it had in it. I gave this a 4 out of 10. Chris Evans, Margaret Qualley, and Aubrey Plaza all have had separate things that I've enjoyed thoroughly. I just think that the direction was off, the plot just wasn't there, and just wasn't that interesting. But as I said, we already did an episode on that. You can go and watch that if you want to hear more of our thoughts. That, yeah, 4 out of 10, number 2 worst for me. And then what's your number 1? What could be worse than War of the Worlds?
If I can get a drum roll, I might have told you about this one. I don't know. It
All
is
right, what do you
called
got?
In the Lost Lands, starring Emilia Jovovich and Dave Bautista.
Okay.
This movie is like if someone saw 300 from Zack Snyder in 2006 when that came out, and then time traveled into 2015, stole the idea for Mad Max Fury Road, one of my all-time favorites, and then time traveled back to 2006, then made their shittier version of that movie with a worse budget, no vision, and dumpster fire special effects. That is In the Lost Lands. Another 0.
I seem to recall the trailer for that one as well and thinking it did seem a little Mad Maxy. So I think I know the one you're
Abysmal.
talking about.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, and it's a shame. I love Dave Bautista. I think he's really good. Everybody's got that terrible movie, I guess, that they have to do. 0 out of 10 for you. Wow,
yeah,
that's that's tough.
yeah. I mean, 2 zeros in 2025. It's like,
I know
oof.
for its highs, clearly it had its lows. Number one for me was The Monkey. The movie
I thought that was your
seemed
favorite. What happened?
no, sorry, you got that twisted. Yeah, I feel like weird calling it the worst movie I saw, but it is in my ranking. It was like my least favorite movie and the worst that I saw of last year. But in no stretch of the imagination is it like the likes of the stuff that you've been talking about. For me, as I said, the movie went back and forth between trying to be this horror movie while also being self-aware and constantly acting goofy and just once again didn't work for me. All these movies didn't work for me. Another 4 out of 10. Nothing even broke 3 out of 10 for me. Everything was 4 out of 10 and up. So that just goes to show how much I pretty much enjoyed most things this year. And yeah, that's our worst of the year. Let's transition into the best of the year, which we will definitely have some overlapping in, I would assume. All right, so for my number 10 was the one that I said that I had forgotten about is Mickey 17. I have fond memories of watching this movie also in IMAX. I thought that this one was pretty well made. I thought the acting was great from Mark Ruffalo. I really enjoyed Toni Collette in it. And then, of course, you got Robert Pattinson playing two different characters. It was unique. It was, not just by the numbers. Unfortunately, I guess it just didn't perform well at the box office and kind of just fell off of a cliff. Nobody really talks about it, unfortunately. But yeah, I wanted to shout it out, and it was, yeah, number 10 for me. What did you got for 10?
Number 10, I have Friendship, starring Tim Robinson. Hey, come on, man.
Yeah.
Tim
Okay.
Tim Tim Robinson, he found a way to take his characters from his I think you should leave comedy, and they seamlessly work him into a dark dramedy with actual emotional weight. I thought it was pretty fucking impressive. I mean, inside of all of the silliness is some relatable and humanizing moments in this film that to me elevated this to an unexpected height. Friendship, in my opinion, is one of those comedies that will age well over time and pick up a following. So I just have to say bravo.
Okay. We also never did an episode on that, but no, did we? No, we never
Friendship?
did.
No.
But yeah, I remember us talking about it at the time. Yeah, I was not a fan of that movie. I guess it's just, you know how comedy is. Comedy is tough. Like it's either you're with that kind of comedy or you're
True.
not. But yeah, I just thought that Tim Robinson's character should have just been in jail. He was just acting completely crazy. But what do you got for 9? We'll just do like a snake type thing.
So
So
number
what do you got for
9,
9?
I have this one I cannot recommend enough. Train Dreams. It's only streaming on Netflix. And it sucks that I couldn't see it in theaters. Because from the opening scene, Train Dreams just roped me in with its thick emotion, stunning visuals, and there's a breathtaking weight to the storytelling and characters, and I could just feel it dripping off of the screen. Train Dreams, it's a rather visceral experience, and it's one of my favorites of the year. Joel Edgerton is the lead, and he plays this logger, and he leads a life of just quiet and grace as he experiences both the highs of love and the lows of loss. It's during an era of this monumental change in early 20th century America, and it's really well done. I would recommend it.
Okay. Yeah, that's not on my list. I never actually even saw that, so I never even heard of it. So yeah, might have to add that to my watch list on Letterbox for sure. For me, I got number 9. This might be a shock because of how much people were saying I'm shitting on the movie. K-pop Demon Hunters at number 9. For me, I think that, as I said, it's not like I'm acting like a fangirl like how a lot of people have been. I had issues with the third act of that movie as well, as a lot of people know, me and the endings of movies. But still very memorable, very catchy music. The animation was great, and I feel like it did exactly what it was made to do. So I can't really fault it on that. I mean, we have a whole episode talking about it. Once again, not gonna waste too much time if we've already had an episode talking. So that was my 9. Number 8, one of the horror movies I thoroughly enjoyed of last year was Bring Her Back, another movie that I literally knew very little about. which honestly makes me enjoy these things so much more. I thought like just how grounded and well, as grounded as like a possession type movie can be, how real and how great the child actors were in it, as well as the plot being so a little bit more out there, but you kind of feel for the mother who lost her child and is you kind of understand what she's doing, but she's obviously crazy for doing it. I don't want to spoil too much, but yeah, like I was blown away by that one because I really had no expectations for it. So yeah, I have that at my 8. What do you got?
At number 8, I have Eddington.
Okay.
This movie, in my opinion, and people will either love it or absolutely despise it. In my opinion, it's brilliant. The story is definitely meant to ruffle some feathers and offend you while offending the opposing viewpoint at the same time. It's a very political movie, but it perfectly represents the dread and chaos of the world that was during the COVID-19 pandemic back in 2020. I will say it is a tad overbaked in terms of its ideas, but I can excuse that because there was a clear intent from Mr. Ari Aster, who I think is a genius when it comes to storytelling. He muddied the waters of the story a little bit. And I mean, after all, you can't tell what happened in 2020 without a little bit of a mess. Eddington, it's funny, but it's thought provoking. It's tense and it's uncomfortable, but it's the perfect amount of absurd that I've come to expect from Astor's movies. One of my key takeaways was that Ari Aster, having the chops to make an action movie was unexpected because he did Hereditary, he did Midsummer. Those are not really action types. And this one has its fair share of action, and he did a great job. But I'm also not sure that anyone else should try and make a COVID pandemic movie after this because I think this is as it's gonna get. And I just have to shout out. I much rather would have reviewed this over. We did. I know what you did last summer instead of this.
Yeah. I remember.
I was humbly disappointed.
What do you got at 7?
At 7, I have Weapons.
Ooh, I'm almost there with you.
For me, I mean, Zach Kreger, the director, he made a surprise hit in Barbarian a few years back. This film, he just sharpened his skills and delivered an even better movie in my eyes. Weapons has suspense. It's pretty fucking wild. It's filled with fights and it has a fantastic time, doing its thing at the movie theater. Like that was the way to watch it. And this is the type of genre blending that makes you go, this director, like he has the sauce with him. Like the storytelling format of this one might turn some people off, but it worked perfectly for me. And it was just a perfectly batshit time at the movie theater.
For sure. I 100% agree, and it's on my list as well. I'll discuss it a little bit when we get there. For me, number 7, I had Zootopia 2. I thought it was a very worthy sequel to the first Zootopia, which I adore. I think the first Zootopia is a little bit better, but I know a lot of people think the second one is better. The world building, back again with the great animation, voice cast, adding to the voice cast as well, new fun characters, and then leads into what could be the third Zootopia movie as well. Yeah, especially with Disney having issues with their sequels, this was a bright spot for them as well. So yeah, Zootopia for me at 7, and then 6 is where I have Weapons. You already touched on everything that's great about Weapons. I sung its praises so much when we watched. I saw it in IMAX, and I told everybody go watch it in IMAX. Excellent movie, great movie, like horror movies, like I don't even know what you would call it. But again, we have a whole episode talking about that for like an hour. So yeah, that's my 6. What do you got? What do you got up next?
6, I have a film called No Other Choice.
I want to watch that one too. It's the Korean one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
This director just has to be from this futuristic planet because this guy in the year 2025, he tossed in shot after shot, transition after transition, scene after scene that really just looked unlike anything I have ever seen before in a movie. And he was very inventive in the way that he made this movie. And I think it deserves every accolade it might bring home. Um, my first thought when the credits rolled was, I need to see this again. And I haven't seen it yet again, but I do. The story, albeit being a little thin at times, it was tight and it was engaging. and it had a surprisingly funny script. To me, all of the performances were superb, and they helped locking me in right from the start. I think this is easily one of 2025's best releases, and it does deserve a Best Picture nod at the Oscars.
Okay, cool. And what do you got at 5?
At 5, I have The Testament of Anne Lee. Not a movie I would have thought would be in my top 10, let alone my top 5. I'm going to say this was a mesmerizing experience with a question mark because at I feel like when I woke up, I feel like I woke up from a trance when this film ended. And unlike anything that I've seen in a while, like this one is a visceral, ambitious just piece of art that just left me speechless mentally. And it's also set in a time period like I typically do not enjoy, with subject matter that usually doesn't connect for me. And neither component bothered me at all. The visual craftsmanship in this movie is fantastic. The musical elements swept me away, but it's honestly Amanda Seyfried as the lead. Her dynamic performance really stood out, and how she is fighting for a nomination at the Oscars and not a lock is beyond me. This film was written by the duo that wrote The Brutalists, and one of the two, I don't remember who, was the director for this film, and they absolutely knocked it out of the park. I mean, I will say this one will absolutely not work for everybody. And if you've seen The Brutalist, like I dare to even say it's more of a bolder swing than that. But after walking into this, not expecting much, I left loving what I had just seen and wanting to go back.
Gotcha. Yeah, shout out to Amanda Seyfried. One of my honorable mentions actually that was like hovering around like my like top 15 was The Housemaid, and I think she was the easiest, the best part in that one. For me, number 5, Superman. We had a whole episode dedicated to this as well, so I don't want to spend too much time on it, but Lex Luthor, baby. He's back and he's bald and he's hating, and it's great. And it's great that we have all this hope and everything. Like everybody always says, oh, I missed when Superman came out. And it was like everybody was so hopeful because James Gunn just understood Superman, and also just opening up the DCU to so much wonderful side characters like Mr. Terrific. Everything about the movie was great. Had a fun time with it. And can't wait to see Man of Tomorrow next year. And yeah, so that was my number 5. We've talked about that one many times. My number 4, Wake Up Dead Man. I'm a lot higher on this than many other people. It is the second best of the Knives Out movies, I would say. But for me, I enjoyed maybe the fact that it was just straight to Netflix. I know it was in select theaters, but it was longer. And upon watching it and when we reviewed it, I had said that that was one of my drawbacks on it. After really thinking about it and marinating with it, I kind of appreciate that it took its time, and we get easily the best side character to Benoit Blanc's, or well, I should say, what's his name? Daniel Craig's Benoit Blanc. The side character, the priest. We have like all this bombastic cast. Once again, like how all of the movies are. Yeah, I thought that this movie was top notch, and I watched it just here at home, and I was like gobsmacked about it. So yeah, that's my number 4. What do you have?
At number 4, I have Sentimental Value.
Okay.
I feel very confident saying that the director behind this film, I don't want to butcher his name because I'm gonna mess it up, I know. But I feel confident that he's a top 3 director working right now. And the female lead, I also don't want to butcher her name. She's probably a top 2 actress working right now. And this film is kind of a spiritual follow-up to a film that I really enjoyed called The Worst Person in the World. And Sentimental Value is a really deep, moving story exploring family dynamics, trauma, so much more. There really isn't a better director when it comes to painting this picture of human vulnerability and emotion. And the fact that he has this cast to act out these scenes is a cheat code. And I mean, it's also a disservice that I am only just now getting to Stellan Skarsgård, who just won Best Supporting Actor at the Critics' Choice Awards, who I thought turned in a career best performance. I mean, this movie locked me in, didn't let go, from its fantastic opening scenes to quite possibly the best ending scene of the year.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard great things about that one. Haven't seen it yet though. What do you got for 3?
At number 3, I have One Battle After Another. I know, never mind. I'll hold my tongue. I'm happy to report that Paul Thomas Anderson, the director, in my opinion, he cooked with this one. It does get out of the gate a little wobbly and it's too chaotic, but once it gets its feet squarely set, I thought One Battle is just absolutely fantastic. I mean, to me, everyone in the cast shined, but in this short form review, I mean, I think the highest praise has to go to the psychotic, captivating role that Sean Penn played, and accompanied by an incredible score. The story is heart pounding, it's riveting. Every word you can find to describe an edge of your seat ride. You could argue that there's a better active director in Hollywood, but I would be hard pressed to accept any argument against Paul Thomas Anderson being the most versatile. And I know you and I kind of disagree on this take, but in my opinion, One Battle is one of the quickest 3-hour experiences I have ever seen. And it was perfectly wound, especially the final 75% of the film. Cannot recommend it enough.
Yeah, it just wasn't for me. It wasn't my cup of tea, but yeah, everybody else seems to really, really enjoy it. Everybody else I've talked to. Number 3 for me was F1. I once again sung the praises of how much I had a blast seeing this in the movie theater, seeing it in IMAX. This type of movie was not something where you're like, wow, this plot is groundbreaking or anything like that. I think that literally just the cinematography of how the camera was moving with the racing and how they constructed all of that stuff was really what made the movie. The acting was pretty good. You had Javier Bardem, you had Brad Pitt doing very good. So yeah, as I said, like I think that this movie for me was maybe the movie that I enjoyed the most, and I didn't think I was going to, which is why it's so high up. So yeah, that's my 3. And number 2 is probably your favorite, Marty Supreme. This movie, Marty Supreme, was funny. It has its chaotic moments in it. Great cast. I've already sung the praises of Kevin O'Leary. The direction was great. And you just go into it thinking it's a ping pong movie, and it is not just that. It is a story about this cocky athlete who thinks he's this, and the struggle of him trying to get back to where he thinks he should be, and all of the ridiculousness that goes on within that. So I had a blast watching it. Was a little long, but I feel like that's just par for course with movies these days. So yeah, that was my 2. What do you got?
So my number 2, I did actually have this at number 1, but I recently flipped my number 2 and my number 1 after another viewing of what is now my number 1. And they were both at the same rating and incredible. But if I had to give, one spot over the other, because there's no ties for first or second place, at number 2, Marty Supreme. I do think it is depending on your preference, it can quite possibly be the best movie of 2025. And we touched on it at the beginning. Like they should just carve Timothy Chalamet's name into the Oscar now because he's just that good.
Mhm.
The film it's excellent. It's thrilling. It's a fast paced story that has a bit of a different emotional and comedic beat to past Safdie movies like Uncut Gems and others. But yeah, the casting for this was excellent. And I mean, Josh Safdie gets a ton out of Odessa Azion, Gwyneth Paltrow, Kevin O'Leary, like Tyler the Creator. I mean, that's just naming a few.
The
Like
list
you've
goes on and
you've got all
on.
these small characters, and from the score to the cinematography, some of the soundtrack choices, all those.
Robert Pattinson as announcing at the ping pong
Yeah,
tournament.
I read about that the other day. I didn't know that.
Yeah, me neither.
Everything in between, and Marty Supreme just delivered on immense hype in every single way.
Yeah, I agree. And that must mean that we have the same number 1, so we can just kind of discuss it together. Mine is Five Nights at Freddy's 2. I know that that's yours as well. No, 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 no. I know you can't stand that
I
movie.
can't stand that
Sinners,
movie.
Sinners, obviously. You got to give it to Ryan Coogler. You got to give it to the whole cast. We also didn't get to do an episode for this one because the podcast didn't exist when this movie came out. But I saw this movie like 4 times in theaters. It has my favorite scene of the year, the I Lied to You scene where they're singing, and the one in the barn where, the fire and everything. Fantastic. Cinematic excellence. Loved it. Loved the music. Everything about it. French kiss.
Yeah,
That's
I
all I have
mean,
to say about Sinners.
Sinners is the type of movie that just makes you feel alive, no pun intended. And like it has that sort of feeling where it makes you want to stand out of your seat for the last like hour because the heart, the soul, the passion, everything that is poured into this movie by Ryan Coogler, it just oozes out until you see the final credits. Sinners is a special movie, an original blockbuster that both looks and sounds amazing. And I can't stress sounds. I can't stress that part enough because the composer, he crafts a masterpiece with the music in this one. And Sinners has all the sauce you want to give it and then some.
Yeah, I can't say more good things about it. Like I've been singing its praises since it came out. I'm telling everybody, I've told everybody about it. Go watch it. I listen to the music still to this, this day all the time, and I think it's up there for me with the soundtracks where I listen to it over and over, like Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, some of the Harry Potter stuff, some of the stuff, all the other stuff John Williams has done. I love the soundtrack. I listen to it all the time. But yeah, that's basically our 25 review, recap, wrapped, whatever you want to call it. Do you have anything else before we sign off?
No, I am all good. I'm excited to see what 2026 has in store. And yeah,
Yeah, if it can live up.
if you haven't heard of any of the movies that we've talked about, with the exception of the bad, you don't need to buckle up and watch those. But anything great that you heard us talk about, feel free to look into. Like you may enjoy them.
Yeah, and feel free to comment and tell us all how we have the worst opinions ever and we're wrong, and we'd love to debate and talk to you guys. Next episode, we'll be going into shifting gears into more 2026 stuff, a little bit more predictions, more games and activities, as well as our review for the movie Primates will be in that episode as well. But that does it for us for this episode and for 2025. Thank you all for listening. That's our first, not our first 365 days done as the podcast, but started in 2025. We saw it out at the end of 2025. So thank you all for listening and being with us.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Take care, everybody, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thanks, everybody.